Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Now, what is the most unpardonable mistake that a writer can make?
Not having his facts and data is a tragedy. You must have your facts. Your facts, your data must be inviolable. People must look at you with a solemn trust. When you breach it, it's almost an unpardonable crime.
Interesting. Now, many readers or many writers read and commend what you write. Who are those you read and commend what they write?
I read you. You are my brother, so I read you to see. And
Thank you.
Because you have this dream of being a billionaire. You're always writing about billionaires. So you
Thank you very much.
So I said, if my brother can give the tips, I have to follow. So because I have ability to be billionaire. So
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I just told you about Dare Babarisha. I read him every time. I read Ruben Abati. I read my brother Faj from a long time. I still read him. And a whole lot of younger generation of writers that impressed me. There are quite a number of them. But the last things I read at night for me is New York Times, Time Magazine, Guardian, Independent. So I read across.
Interesting. Now, in your very brief career, in journalism, you won the NMMA, that's talking about the Nigerian Media Merit Award. You also got nominated for another one, which you narrowly missed.
I think I deserve that award.
So how does that make you feel today? Well, I think that you spent just 2 years and you were able to win an MMA. No, there are people who have done 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. They haven't been able to win anything. So how does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel great because from the beginning, there was this courageous courage of my professional convictions. I have a robust confidence in what I could do. Even though that sometimes my mom feels that I talk too much. Wait till you do it. I said, no, Mom, wait. When I was in my primary school, my first school, when I came back to the village, I would tell my mom, come, I'm going to be first. They are going to call the result. I'm going to be first. He said, wait, keep quiet till you get down to your name. I said, no, let me say it ahead so that you know. And when they call me and I'm first, once I mount the podium, I will scream, Mom, I told you. I was going to be first. I told you. So there was this unusual confidence. So when I won this award, for me, it was quite inspirational because it was just my second year. And after that award, I transited from TSM, I moved to Channels Television to start Channels with Mr. John Momo at its very, beginning. So it was an inspiration. It was something I still talk about. 2 years, little guy, young man, aspirational, crazy, with a punk hair, tattered jeans always, a rucksack, and I'm winning an award. So that my outward appearance did not define who I was. So that really was inspiring.
Interesting. Now, I first got to know about you as a journalist. Why did you eventually dump journalism for something else?
Yeah, let me quickly say that I never stopped writing, even though I left the employ of TSM and channels. I never stopped writing. But let me also say that I was a child, and I think because of the lack of communication, then there was no GSM, there was phone were very few, and young man, I was on the move. I think it was partly lack of career guidance. If I had a career advisor, I would not move from print journalism actually to television. I think broadcast media. I don't think I would have moved with benefit of hindsight, because I realized that as a print journalist, you wield a lot of power. You are less censored. You can run a feature that's about what you think. You don't give a damn about what other people say. It's about your professional conviction, and you can write it. But you see, in broadcast media, the regulators are breathing down your neck. There's so much you cannot do. Your opinion is so limited. You're about news and all that. So I have left when I realized all that. And then after a while, because I was young, I was eager. Channel was still trying to come out. We just conceded from Channels Incorporated to Channels Television. And I needed to do my postgraduate program. So I took a study leave to go back to study. And when I came back, I just came back and set up to start doing things on my own. So I practically became a street soldier. I was writing for This Day. This Day had just come. I was writing for This Day. I was making contribution here and there. And I was sometimes looking at media consultancy. I was young, a little experienced, ambitious. It was tough because, like I said, I was more of a street soldier willing to do everything as they come. But what held me, I think what held me most, was that I kept writing, showing that this is what I can do. And because of that, I was able to penetrate certain quarters. I was trying to do media consultancy, and it worked for me until much later that I started doing much more bigger things.
Interesting.
So yes, my departure from journalism, print journalism, was a product of naivete, with benefit of hindsight. I should have stayed more, because if I was there more proud by now, I would have been governor of my state and finished as a governor. Oh, yes.
Interesting. Now, you worked at some point at the Chris Anyanwu's TSM.
Yes.
What fond memories of your days there can you share with us? Just one. Let's take just one fond memory.
Oh. They taught me how to write. Elia Bassi was a genius. Chris Anyanwu was unbelievable. They taught me the art of writing, keeping the sentence short, simple, rhythmical, ecstatic for the person that reads. So TSM is the foundation of everything I have done in my life. That's the way to summarize it. Yes.
Interesting. Now, you equally did something for Channels TV at some point.
Yes.
Tell us about that and your fond memories of those days at Channels. Before Channels became so big.
Yeah, I did a story on Mr. John Momo when he left NTA. It was a very strong worded story and a little bit with a tinge of controversy. He thought it was brilliant, and so when he started Channels Incorporated, which was a television servicing company, he invited me and asked if I could work with him, and I said yes. So I was employed as the first features producer of Channels Incorporated. Then we did the interview. We interviewed Babangida, former president, General.
Yeah, IBB,
yes. It was a fantastic interview, very well done. The narrative was awesome. It was crazy. So after that, I think IBB felt that these guys were very strong. And so Mr. John Moba applied for TV license and it was granted. So we transited from a television servicing company to a full-blown television station. And then, that also means that you now have to raise funds to start a formal TV station. So that's how we started before I left to do my postgraduate programs. But you see, what I left with Channels is Mr. John Momo himself. He is an experience. He is a fetching symbol of how to have a dream the dream, pursue it in spite of all the vicissitudes that come your way. John had a dream. He pursued that dream to create a new television. They told me it wasn't going to work in Nigeria because it was Just news. They said it wasn't going to work. But he would tell me, I remember he would drive me in his car, trying to drop me close to my place. And he would tell me, this will work. He has a destination and he will get there. It was tough. It was tough. It was like a long walk through the Golgotha. But I think what kept him going is that at the end of the Golgotha, there's a gray light of a new dawn. John walked through the crucible. Mr. John Mama walked through the crucible, the Golgotha, and then got to the end, which promised a gray light of a new dawn. And when you take a look at channels today, you will say that the new dawn is here.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, afterwards, you veered into Nollywood, you know, making your production debut with Nightmare. Yeah, what prompted the incursion into Nollywood?
Yeah, well, as I told you earlier, I had become a street soldier. I was doing so many things at the same time. Now, let me say this clearly. Living in bondage escalated what became Nollywood today. Before that, living in bondage, I had gone to interview Mr. Kenneth Nebwe because he was an Igbo man making films in Yoruba and he didn't understand Yoruba language. That was a mystery for me. I needed to unravel it. So I went to interview him. And after talking to him, he told me he was going to make a film in his language. And he would like a film that would shake Nigeria. And he asked me if I could write, because I had told him I studied theater arts. He said yes. That I told him that I could write. It's okay. Let me if I could do a story that he could produce in Igbo language. And I went to write a story I called "What a Present." What is a present? Is a present? Yes, it was a story of a man involved, who was very rich and had a lot of friends. Then went down. Then he started following his friends, and they were telling him they could help him to make money. He didn't know, and eventually they lured him into a court. It was when he had joined them that they told him he had to bring the person he loved most to his house for a ritual in his home. It was painful, but at the end of the day, he succumbed and gave his daughter, and he was in for ritual, and he became rich again. Now I gave him that story. He never got to use it, and then I left TSM. And when he released the film, when he made Living in Bondage, it was almost just the same kind of court story, except that the man used the wife, to make money and all that. I didn't think he copied my story, but I knew that I gave him that story. He never returned it. It was about a court and a man that used the daughter, to make money. Now, that was my first encounter with Nollywood. Now, that film eventually changed the story of motion picture in Nigeria and where we are. After that, I thought, yes, when I left channels, that I was going to look at, making my own film. And so I met my friends who were already making films, Michael Liam and Chico Ejiro of blessed memory. And I told them that I needed to write a story, and I did Nightmare, Tragedy of the Child. Because when I was serving, I wrote a script on the life of Nelson Mandela, which was, I got children to play. And unfortunately, the boy that was playing the lead died of tetanus infection. So I decided to do an investigation, a research into the tragedy of the child. And after going all over the place, interviewing nurses, doctors, and all that, I put the story together. That's what gave birth to Nightmare, my first film.
Interesting.